Yeah.
Oh no!
Matt, what the hell was that?
Wasn't me, coach. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Get off our lawn.
Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with your grandma. We have noticed that, we have a lot of people watching the show who aren't liking the show. So help us out. Like the show. I mean, if you're going to be here, all 150 of you or whatever it was for some of the shows, for the whole show, at least hit the like button. Give us some love.
Speaking of the grandmas, there's going to be a point where I bring this back up when we're into our actual segment.
You mean we got segments today?
Yeah, the whole point of the whole topic is 21 segments, apparently.
Oh, okay. All right. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Cologuard.
Cologuard.
If you don't want to be digitally penetrated by your doctor, shit in a box and mail it off. It does a great job. And what?
I don't know. Whenever you said shit in a box, all I could think about was the song Dick in a Box. So I'm like, it's my shit in a box.
That would be gross. That would really be a bad Valentine's Day gift. Just a pile of your shit in a box. Hey, baby.
We're really making sure that YouTube is happy with our shows and monetizing us every day, talking about shit in a box. 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the show.
Unless she's into it, then she might like it. I don't know. I've never really met a chick that like that, and I'm happy for that. There was one.
I wouldn't know how to react.
There was one that wanted to take a shit on me, and I was like, no, I don't need that. But that was it. That was as far as it got. All right. The turd in the background says, "Welcome back to the Straight Red Card. Today is Thursday. That means it's the Straight Red Card night. It'll be a great show tonight. Balls, jizz, drinking, and the herps. That's what is up with my wife." Oh, Jesus. Hey, buddy, I mean, this is just getting worse every week for you.
I'd stop tip drilling that if that has herpes in it, man.
Yeah. I mean, the balls and the jizz and the drinking and the herpes. That's it's a rough mix. If you put that in a jar or a bowl, you wouldn't want to eat it. All right. Like the show, bitches. Thanks, Chris.
Erling says, "I will like thy show now." John says, "I don't like it though."
Is he a fucking medieval knight? John,
if it is legit.
Okay, this is weird. John asked me in another thread on another video if I liked hard-boiled eggs. And I said, well, I'm German. I like soft-boiled eggs. I like hard-boiled eggs. I said, what are you going to do? Mail me a bunch of fucking eggs? I didn't know. I still haven't figured it out.
It might not be a bad present there.
And for a guy who fucking hates our show, he watches it all the time. He must be monitoring us for U.S. soccer.
Really hate our show?
I don't know. He's probably kidding around. But we are Leeds back again, baby. Hey, we got a tie. We're going to talk about that game. And, man, even though they played McKennie in a double pivot, holy shit, it worked.
Well, that takes me back to the first comment. But he does say that I've started to like your videos now.
Okay. Even though he's like, remember the first time we met him? He's like, you just watch for the Americans. Fuck off. And then I'm like,
we want him over there. That's the thing.
Yeah, I want him over. He thinks you should fuck off, Brett. I'm an actual Leeds fan. I
don't bullshit for my reasons, Derek.
I know.
I'm honest. I think he digs honesty. I'm assuming it's a he. It could be a she for all I know.
If it's a she, that would be great. It would increase our percentages up to 1.3 or something like that. But I'm so dedicated. I watched the fucking Leeds game twice, and I just finished it up before the game. So
I wanted to bring this up now, even though we're not talking about Leeds yet. But I'll completely forget to bring it back up.
Well, do it. Let's do it. Christian Burke says McKennie looked much better than I expected in the pivot. Amen. Maybe he could play more of that role going forward. He was like a bigger, stronger, less predictable, less defensive Tyler yesterday. He was. I would still say I would like to see at some point a Roca, Adams, McKennie 3 in the middle.
More of an offensive McKennie. Yeah.
And let McKennie do some of what Aaronson's doing, like show open the box. Although you're not going to expect McKennie to do what Harrison does, which, I mean, he had an okay game. Sometimes Harrison doesn't give you much at all, and then sometimes he does.
Yeah, it's a hit and miss with him.
Yeah, I think McKennie can give you something more consistent than that.
I will say, going from a U.S. national team standpoint, say if Jesse Marsh happens to become the next national team manager, McKennie might have to be that double pivot if we're gonna. He's probably gonna play with somebody like a Reyna or an Aronson at the 10, anyways.
Well, he will play a 10. That'll be a start to something bright and new, won't it?
Yeah.
Because the United States men's national team doesn't play a 10. And we have
not under Berhalter. No. Let's rephrase this. They didn't play a 10 under Berhalter.
Under Berhalter, it's a 10's like herpes. Like we don't play a 10. It's an untreated case of herpes. So you really want to stay away from it as far as Berhalter is concerned. Jose Reyes, thank you as usual, our good friend.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you guys for making dependable pee-pee and poop jokes. Well, you were here for you. No other comments for the night. Here's some money just to say thank you for the content. We appreciate it. And, occasionally we slip other words in besides the poop and pee thing.
Say much like the Twitters, we are just not overly serious, but we do cover the sport.
Yeah, we do cover it, but I
don't jokingly manner. Let me rephrase that.
I think if you're way too serious about this, you're gonna grow a lot older real fast. And by the way, football is supposed to be enjoyable, and I know it's not when your team is being relegated. I've had to handle that. Fulham's been on a roller coaster.
I understand. Lately. 12 years as a Chicago, last 12 years as a Chicago fan. Come on.
Yeah, but they're not getting relegated.
We would have been relegated like 11 times over. Come on.
You would have been. You should have been, actually. But, yeah. So there's that. I don't know why. We should just talk about Leeds now while we're at it. Why don't we do
it? Real quick, We Are Leeds says, do you guys have a Twitter? And it is straight_red. And Derek is?
Boomer Richie. Brett named me. He created my Twitter account, and he named me Boomer Richie. Even though I'm not a boomer, I am from Gen X. I'm from Gen X. Okay, my fucking parents are boomers. If you want to get to be,
and Derek is Derek's better with technology than most boomers, but
I am not a fucking boomer.
Heat of the moment. I can't set up a Twitter account. Like, okay, fine, I'll do it for you.
That is not what was happening. They wouldn't let me set up a Twitter account. And you know damn well that's what happened. And I was like, fuck it. Fake them out for me, Brett. And you did. You faked them out.
Twitter. You think Garber and USSF run Twitter? And they're like, can't let that Derek on here, man.
I don't know what Gargler does, but I do know that he probably doesn't want me on there. And then yesterday, when I texted you, Todd Gargler, yesterday when I texted you and I said, what's going on with Twitter? It's saying I have reached my capacity of tweets. And I'm like, I haven't even tweeted today.
So like, Twitter, all the social medias, plus some of the news agencies, all their websites got attacked digitally.
Yeah, right.
And everything went down not down. I mean, you can still get on Twitter.
Right. You could get on
messages, which is a really strange thing to just stop. You can still tweet and do all that shit.
No, I couldn't tweet.
It's weird.
You could tweet?
But I mean, whatever it was affected a lot of stuff.
I couldn't tweet. They were telling me I maxed out all my tweets, which, by the way, I looked up and it's like 8,000 tweets on it a day. And I'm like, excuse me, I haven't tweeted any times today. So how could I possibly max out on my tweets? Didn't make any sense to me. Are you frozen? You look frozen on my screen.
No, I was watching your screen because you stopped. Your mouth was moving for a bit, but no voice came out. But then all of a sudden, it all caught back up.
Yeah, there's a little lag going on here. Very weird. So anyhow, I wasn't
great.
able to...
They did the social medias. Now they're attacking us on our StreamYard. This is great.
Yeah, I don't need that. I'm already worried about our cursing on this show, and now I go to Twitter and I can't tweet because I tweet too much. Excuse me, no, I don't. I barely tweet. All right, but when I do, I mean it. Especially when I say Reina scored on your mom. That seemed to offend a lot of people. All right, I want to congratulate Pellegrino Matarazzo for becoming the Hoffenheim coach. Hoffenheim currently sits
work your magic
14th. They're 3 points out of the relegation zone, so there's room for a little bit of breathing there because the teams that are in relegation zone are really bad, including his ex-team Stuttgart. So he could really stick a fucking penis in their eyeballs there at Stuttgart by just keeping Hoffenheim above Stuttgart, which is kind of sad. I really like Stuttgart. I've been there. It's a nice town. All right, so that's what happened to Twitter, and that's what Fulham won as well, we should say. And that was FA Cup. Yeah,
their train just keeps chewing along.
They didn't even use Ream and Jedi. They're like, fuck that. We're resting those guys.
Ain't nobody getting that.
Yeah. So there's that. And my sciatic nerve acted up on Monday and Tuesday. I could barely walk. And then on Wednesday, it magically went away. So I did some stretching and all that shit you're supposed to do when you have a sciatic nerve thing.
I don't know if I mentioned on the last show about my ankle issue.
Yes, you did.
That's gone away. My turf toe came back, then that went away. But now I'm dealing with an issue with the bruised heel. It's all in the same foot, too. It's all fucked. I need to go get it x-rayed.
All that's fixable. How's your chlamydia?
Oh, it's rough.
All right.
No, I gotta. Yeah. Sorry. David D says a cortisone shot, and I think that might be the case. What I might have to do, but I need to get checked out. I think I may
cortisone does nothing for chlamydia. I don't know what he's talking about.
I'll try anything, Derek. Come on.
Derek,
if you asked that on any other show, would you get the same reaction you got from me?
No, I don't think so. I think Max Bretos would be like, what?
Jimmy might be on top of it.
Jimmy would laugh, I think, but it'd take him a while to. He'd be like, what? Oh, he's making a joke. No, I think Jimmy would get it right away. I think he would. I think Max would get it right away too. But I do remember my discussion with Max before I went on his podcast. And he said, and I said, so, your podcast do I have to really use clean language? And he said, yeah, there's no reason for you to dirty up. All the great things you have to say. And I'm like, oh, that's one way to put it.
I kind of want to, though.
I kind of like dirtying it up.
Since you basically covered Leeds, let's finish.
I didn't cover it. I want to talk about it more.
Yeah, no, I'm saying since we've talked about it to some point, let's just finish covering that, and then we'll jump back into it.
All right, we are Leeds, our new fans, and we love you already because you told us to fuck off, and then you came back, and there's nothing better than that. We have a problem.
It's nice.
We have a problem with backline since we came up in the Premier League, unfortunately.
Yes.
Well, it looks like Wober, whatever you want to pronounce it. The guy who came from Salzburg is actually a really fine, very good player. And so you got that problem. And it was only Cock who gave up the goal today. Whenever I say Cock, it's okay.
I'm so hit and miss with Cock, man, because some games I'm like, oh my god, what a bonehead play, but then he has a great game here and there.
Sometimes you love Cock, and sometimes you don't. Right?
Sometimes it's limp, sometimes it's rock hard.
No, the goal, the first goal, was certainly on Cock, and there's no doubt about it. And Cock actually cocked up
another English
player.
Term for basically saying on par?
What, Cock?
On Cock.
We're really screwing up our YouTube things right now. I bet you Cock's one of the bad words you can't say.
We're talking about chickens, YouTube. Come on, Susan.
It's KOCH YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Lay off. But anyhow, I think River's going to be a big solution for you guys, of course, until he goes down, and then you got to put Cooper back in, right? And there's, a lot of Leeds fans still love Cooper. They love Cooper to death. And so I guess if that's your other option, and then you could still actually play Ailing as a center back. That didn't go so well earlier this season. And hopefully Struck recovers for being struck in the face by a lightning fucking rock shot that hit him straight in the head. And I think he went into concussion protocol, so he had to come out of the game from being smashed in the head with a line drive. So, but the good news is Firpo actually looked really good. Like, he didn't look like shite. And the one big McKennie mistake, back pass, that's the worst mistake McKennie made all game. And it was going to lead to a breakaway for Rashford. And Firpo just basically tackled him NFL style. And he had to.
Tackle. No, I feel like I need to go back and rewatch the game. I didn't actually see it.
Oh, it's a lovely game to watch. It's a great game to watch. Yeah. Especially if you're a real diehard Leeds United fan, Brett.
I know Leeds went up 2-0 and then gave up the 2-0 lead.
Mm-hmm.
I know they scored in the first minute. I know the goal was partially thanks to Adams running amok and then Noto scoring. Yeah.
I don't know, Nanto. I have now heard 5 different pronunciations of his name, so I'm going to go with Nanto for right now. But yeah,
why can't they just give him a nickname like they gave Sebastian, like the Atomic Ant?
They call him Willie.
I'm going to call him Willie from now on. Who gave him nickname Willie?
Leeds fans call him Willie. Yeah, they call him. They don't. I mean, if they called him Wee Willie, that would not be good. But I think they're pretty much Willie. And it was Adams who started that transition by breaking up, like pushing up, pressing up, and screwing up. I can't remember who that was on the right for Manchester United. And by the way, the number of times the announcer used the word United in reference to Manchester United
instead of the Leeds.
Yeah.
They are less united.
Pretty fucking aggravating if you're a Leeds fan. You're like, okay, so whenever you say United in this game, I'm just going to assume that you mean Manchester United? Okay, dickhead. Listen, I know it's a small mistake, but you can't do that when both teams have United at the end. Like,
is this on par with the argument of saying, like, you can't call us Americans because there's so many people that live in the Americas?
Well, I think most people refer to Americans as Americans, but Canadians are Americans too. So are Mexicans. They're in North America, so they're Americans. I guess South Americans are Americans too.
Our local Leeds fan said that pissed him off as well.
Which part?
United.
Because at one point I think he said United are really starting to stretch the field. I'm like, okay, so which one? Who are you talking about? Because it was sort of evident he was talking about Manchester United because he continued on with the conversation. And so you got the point, he means, when he says United, he means Manchester United. And I don't think that's cool, man. I think that you've got 2 teams. You could call them Leeds, you can call them Manchester, and then you won't worry about that.
I guess synonymously, across the board, I've always heard people refer to Manchester United as just United in general. How often do they refer to Leeds as just United?
Leeds fans do.
Oh, I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, do they just say Leeds or do they say United?
And how united can Manchester be when they're 2 teams? One's called Manchester City and one's called Manchester United.
The city is not united behind the team.
It's not very united city. I'm sorry. It's a little ridiculous the way that.
Oh my God! Almost as if on time. Look at that! Bam! It was the exact same time as you started saying that. Are you Swamp Dog, Derek?
Swamp Dog.
Are you Swamp
Dog?
Way
to go, man. Hey, that Swamp Dog is close to one of Greg's nicknames, actually, inside the inside U.S. Soccer quarters. His actual nickname inside soccer quarters at U.S. Soccer is Swamp Butt.
Because I was trying to think of something that had to do with butt kicking, but I didn't
nope. They call him Swamp Butt. Apparently, he gets quite gassy sometimes in meetings. And then he never takes responsibility for it either. Everybody's like, okay, come on, dude. It's pretty obvious where the stench is coming from. But that's just like his coaching career. Never his fault. Mm-hmm. All right. I wanted to mention, out of the players that played, that Aronson came on and for the first time in many games looked good. He really
again. I mean, you've been ragging on him for the past couple of games. And
I don't rag.
You ragged. I mean, he deserved it. Deservedly so. How about that? Does that make sense?
It's a misogynist term. Don't use rag.
I'm trying to think of something else I could say that's misogynist.
You've been pooping on him. Pooping on him. Just busting your balls.
I'm really trying to think of something else I can go with it. I'm at a loss. But anyways, we've been saying for weeks that maybe he needs to get benched in order to reassess his game. Maybe just a mental rest, mental break. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, get off the meth. That helps too.
Sure.
Because
I have no idea what was that thing for him. Did they make a lot of meth in Leeds?
He was a spaz. You have to admit that.
What's the drug of choice over in England? The cheap drug of choice. We're talking about meth.
It's just weed, like it is everywhere.
The cheap drug?
Weed's pretty goddamn cheap.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair play.
I got a whole bunch of it here. It's pretty cheap.
Allegedly. Theoretically, you got a lot there. Yes, I agree.
Right. I meant Jenny Kush.
There's no cops here.
Yes. I don't want anybody coming over
to
my house.
Sitting on our live stream like, gotta catch those.
You know what?
Spotheads.
Actually, in actuality, what I have is mood, which is legal. It is legal. That's where I get it now. It's a fucked up little strain. Anyhow.
John Hurt says weed isn't a drug. It's a plant.
Not according to the U.S. government, John.
It's a plant.
It's a class whatever.
It's an herb.
It's a class.
Some herb.
A class C.
It's classy.
Drug, I believe.
It's a classy drug.
Classy for me. So anyhow, I use mood now, and that shit's all legal. So come on over and try to bust me.
Mood is moot, right?
Hey, they sponsored us for a while, but they couldn't come up with a fucking logo. Really? How hard is that? You can't come up with a logo that we can use on our show? That's your problem? That's the tripwire? That's what stopped you from, following through with sponsorship? Whatever. Bunch of morons. Anyhow, good weed though. All right. So that's probably Leeds, right? I mean, unless they got more. Anybody got any other comments or thoughts about Leeds? Oh, people did ask me, well, what's the difference between what they did there and what Jesse would have done? Not a whole lot, but I will say this. The pressing line was further back. So it was just in front of midfield instead of being all the way up, the other team's sphincter.
But I mean, I guess is that the argument against Jesse in the sense that he doesn't, against a team that he probably shouldn't play a high press against, he would play a high press against. Whereas now it wasn't necessarily such a high press. Although I will say the high press seemed to work for Jesse in the past against all the big boy teams. Those were always his best games. Whereas the issue always lied on the lesser teams that managed to get the wins.
Right. So I can't name a whole lot of things were that different, except for when the pressed, they all pressed together. And when they lost possession, they all had a good shape. And I'm not saying that didn't happen in some games that Jesse managed, because they did. It happened against Arsenal. It happened, like you said.
Do you think that was really Armis, or do you think Jesse just shaved his head? I mean, do you think that's the case?
That was Armis. You know how I know why? After the game,
he had to shave his face too, though.
There were a couple Man United players that actually hugged him. So maybe he wasn't the big chuckle fuck that everybody thought he was over there.
I mean, given the whole wasn't he called like Ted Lasso of Man U? Wasn't that the whole issue?
Yeah, even fucking even Marsh threw him under the bus at a press conference saying, "I'm sure glad he's here because now the Ted Lasso jokes can all go towards him."
But my point, I guess my point would be is that really overly insulting? I mean, I know some people will take that and say, "Oh my God, it's insulting." But could it have been sort of like a jokingly, like, "Oh, you're a Yank coming over here and coaching us, who lived with blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera." But
at this point,
does that necessarily mean like a disarray? No. I don't respect you type of thing.
If you took that seriously at this point as an American manager, then you don't have a sense of humor. And Jesse took it all right. And
he did a good job of that. Yeah,
he embraced it, and that's okay. And I have to say this. For many, many years, I've been covering this sport for a very long time. Some of the most dickhead, most arrogant fucking people I ever met online, and they found out I was an American as well as German, they were immediately dicks to me, were English fans. Well, that was a long time ago, and that's not true anymore. Like, English fans don't give a fuck that McKennie and Adams are American. They could give 2 fucks. All they want to do is win. Mm-hmm. That's it. No one cares. Look how popular McBride was at Fulham. Dempsey at Fulham. Yep. I don't think they care as long
Howard at Everton.
All you got to do is produce. So, I mean, I get that Bob Bradley got treated harshly, and I don't
get treated harshly by the management, though. That was rough. 3 months? Are you kidding me?
Those were his bosses that treated him like that.
Yeah, that was dickish. He got dicked over.
The fans in the media weren't very nice either, and I think Marsh got a long run here. A long run.
No, but Bradley didn't have an off season at all. He came into a team at 3 months, shit canned. Jesse has had some windows, but the thing is, he's brought in good players, and there's enough talent on the team that this should be a competitive team, mid-table at the very minimum.
Okay,
at the very minimum.
Hold on now. He's brought in good players. Is he solely responsible for bringing in
I'm sure he's not solely responsible. Absolutely not.
The only guy I can think about.
He's been there multiple windows where they brought in people. I'm just going to say that.
Okay, hold on. The guy you hold on. The guy that is most responsible for bringing in are 2 guys, Adams and McKennie. So is that fucking important?
There's interest for Aronson.
Aronson was already going to come in before.
But I mean, I'm sure having Jesse there, who coached him for a couple seasons, probably didn't hurt the case.
I'm sure that lubed the hole a little. All right. But I just think that
all I'm saying is he was the manager there for a couple of windows. They brought in some significantly talented players. They should be higher up from where they're at now.
Yeah. I mean, Christensen was bad. That was a bad one. But I don't know if that's on Jesse or Christensen.
A little bit of A, a little bit of B, I guess. And he had some decent performances in there, but not enough.
That's a long time ago.
That's what I'm saying, not enough.
Not
early
enough
on in the season, maybe.
Not enough.
Early on in the season, how about
he's
that?
been really poor every time he's played last, and he doesn't play anymore. So I think he's been so poor. He's like third string right back at this point.
Yeah.
So So anyhow, Jesse did some good things while he was there. I think our friend 29 made a point of saying, hey, they used Jesse to get McKennie. But you know what? If I were running Leeds, I would say, hey, we were hoping Jesse was going to work. But so why would I not use Jesse to get McKennie? I'll use Adams and Jesse to get McKennie. All right. I'll throw that bait out because we expect fully that next game against Nottingham Forest, we're at least getting a tie, and people aren't going to be like looking for Jesse to be publicly mutilated.
Jumping back to that game again, though. I mean, we're talking about a Nottingham Forest that literally had one chance, scored their nice goal, and Leeds had chance upon chance upon chance upon chance, just did not put it away.
But see, Brett, that story can't go on forever. You can't continuously say we played pretty good, but we didn't win, because that's what was happening.
No, I don't disagree with that at all. But I'm just saying you can't look at that game and say that's a fireable offense.
Our good friend,
you maintained possession. You had more opportunities. The players on the pitch did not perform.
Our good friend Jake made a
until the second half. The second half fucked around.
Our good friend Jake made a really good video about this. Was Jesse just as unlucky as he wasn't maybe ready? I think he makes the argument that Jesse got fucking really unlucky. He goes through game by game by game by game by game. And he's like, well, look at this trash finish. Look at that trash finish. Look at that trash finish.
There was a number of people, or I don't know if they're passing around the same thing or they all decided to do the same thing at the same time, but they went through by each game and went through like the expected goals, the expected this, X, Y, and Z, and out of all the losses that Jesse had, there were a large swath of them that they had like expected goals is like 2 or 3 compared to the other team that had like 0.6. And it was just like they ended up losing because they ended up capitalizing on that one random chance. And the rest of the time, the team didn't do it. And I'm not saying it's all on the team. You've got to figure it out. You've got to figure out what players are not working. Constantly throwing out Bamford is questionable, in my opinion. Well, I would go just about anybody at that point.
But Bamford made a great assist to Nanto today, so there you go. But, Bamford made a point after the last loss, before he knew Jesse was going to get fired, of saying, listen, I'm really frustrated up there. I feel like I'm up there by myself. I don't feel like there are any runners. I don't feel like we played wide enough. I don't feel like I get enough space because they don't have to commit to cover players coming from the wide positions and cutting in because we're all so jammed together. That's kind of what he said. Now, that's not exactly what he said, but that's what he said. Now, before Jesse got fired, saying those things look like you're like, he's not really being critical of Jesse. But now looking back on it, I'm like, maybe he was. Maybe that was his way of saying, hey, I can't do this with 2 center backs covering me. Somebody's going to have to come up and make a run so I can be freed up from being covered by 2 center backs.
I'm sorry. I'm not taking any criticism that Bamford throws out there. You can see the clear-cut opportunities that he missed. He should have had at least 5 or 6 easy fucking goals throughout the entire season that would have padded his fucking argument.
I agree.
But he missed those chances too. So I can't take anything he says it would have to be with a massive grain of fucking salt.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
If there were one guy who...
Don't get me wrong. I hate single striker formations.
Yes.
They're the worst in my opinion.
Yes.
Being somebody who played as a striker. I hate playing solo strikers. Worst.
Yeah, but Harrison's supposed to be there playing underneath him and giving him an option when he holds the ball up. But
ideally in that situation, you'd want Rodrigo. Obviously not going to be capable. But Rodrigo under Bamford would at least offer a 2-striker type formation, if you will. Because Rodrigo would play as a more or less a second striker in that sense.
If you're going to play Roca, Adams, and McKennie together, then you're going to have to play Rodrigo in a new spot. And he's going to – if Bamford starts up front –
oh, yeah, you take Bamford out if that's the case.
Then it's either you take Bamford out and play Rodrigo, or you play Rodrigo out right. And that means Sinistera, well, he's injured now, but Somerville doesn't start if you start Rodrigo upright. I mean, listen, it's a good problem to have.
No. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. I would bench Bamford. I would start Rodrigo in the center again because he doesn't seem to have a problem scoring goals. He still scores goals. And then you would still have Somerville and Sinistera as options. Noto, however you want to pronounce it, I guess.
Nanto.
You still have Harrison. You still have Aronson, McKennie coming off. You have options to fill it in, but you'd still have Rodrigo playing up top, and I think that's your best option at that point. But again, it's a moot point because he's not healthy.
It's hard to argue with you because
I'm right.
Rodrigo it's been really good when he's played up top this season. So I mean, it's hard to argue against that. I think if you put a gun to my head and said, pick one of these 2 guys to score a goal, I'm picking Rodrigo.
Who's the new signing that they brought in for Bamford last match? Not this recent one, but last match. The last
Roeder?
Roeder?
Are you talking about Roeder?
Whoever came in. That's who I would start over Bamford. Again, at this point,
he's not really a center forward.
But I've lost all confidence in Bamford, though.
Why? Because he just got an assist this game. And 2 games ago in the Cup, he set up another goal for another player. So maybe he's just getting hot again. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, he looks healthy. I don't know. It's kind of hard if you're a Leeds fan and you've been watching, and I certainly used to make.
And maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the thing. I'm a year in Leeds fan. I guess fan's probably the better term than supporter. I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess maybe I'm being too harsh on Bamford because of the last year of worth of performances. But
hey, listen, if you were hoping for the best as an American for Jesse Marsch because you wanted to set a precedent that an American could go to the Premier League and succeed, yeah, you were really pissed at Bamford because he was missing some sitters and it was hurting Jesse. And Well, there is no more Jesse. So now it's just about, and there is no way for us to set a precedent now about, yes, American managers can manage in the Premier League. They're not just good in Austria. They're not just good in Germany. I don't think most English people or people that follow the EPL consider David Wagner an American. I don't think some Americans consider David Wagner an American.
Yeah.
Even though obviously he has one parent who is. So because he was born and raised in Germany. But here's the funny thing. A lot of people don't consider Pellegrino Matarazzo an American. That's hilarious because he really is. He was born here. He went to college here. Then he went over in Germany and played in the lower leagues. And he ended up where he is. So, he's you can't say just because he has a very Italian-sounding name. But, it's good cover for him. It's good cover for him.
Yeah.
Because he, no one's going to say, well, I'm not going to hire him. He's American. They're going to think he's Italian for all they know. All right. Let's do some, do you got any more on Leeds? Or is that good?
No, that's
by the way, Melier was really great. Some great saves.
I mean, that seems to be a common trend. I mean, you might as well just assume that he does great.
Aronson hit
not performed great.
Aronson hit the post, by the way, off a penalty kick. A free kick. I'm sorry, free kick from about 23 yards.
Maybe he should be taking them instead of Pulisic.
Hey man, that fucking Manchester United wall split like a United States men's national team. He shot it straight through the middle of it.
Do you think United was sitting there going we saw the United States do this and it worked out?
Hold on, you mean Leeds United? I like that. All right, I'm sure the United fans appreciate that. The real United fans, Leeds. All right. Frank Bolt says this post is right under yours on
his timeline.
Oh, I was like titty liquor. I couldn't figure out what it was. Coincidence? I think not. Intelligent people tend to drink more alcohol.
Prost.
You know what Prost means in German?
I imagine it's cheers, but maybe not now.
Toast.
Toast, yeah.
But I was surprised you used some German there. I was like,
well, I mean, I watch Beer Fest. I know stuff.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm like, Brett just did that in German. That's crazy.
Ziggy Zaggy, right. Ziggy Zaggy, oi, oi, oi. I know that too.
I don't think any of that's really German.
It was on the Man Show. That's all I know.
Okay. Ziggy, Ziggy, Zaggy, Ziggy.
Ziggy Zaggy, Ziggy Zaggy, oi, oi, oi. I guess it's more Australian then, I guess.
That sure sounds it. Yeah. That sounds way more Australian. Not that they don't say oi in German. Oi. They say something close to it. Like a lot of Germans picked up oi vey, before World War II. And then it kind of existed in the language. Hard to bow down because one of my grandmothers, my aunt, used to use
before you read Chris's comment here, did you watch the Grammys?
I read about the Grammys and I saw a picture of Madonna's face. And
no, you're spoiling it already. Stop it.
Oh, that's not Madonna. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Hard to bow down when I've been turned to stone, Medusa.
She's like, bow down, bitches.
That shit's been
What is that?
It's overlifted. That's what that's called. Yeah, it's overlifted and pushed inward.
Everybody. Chris goes, oh shit, not this tweet. Man, there's a picture that's going around of another female singer that's also 64, and I forgot her name, but it's going around like wildfire. And it's a picture of her, and she's got no work done on her, and she looks fucking fantabulous.
I'm sorry,
I can't think who it is.
No work is much better than work.
100%.
Plastic surgery, women, just listen to me. Plastic surgery makes you look like a fucking weird fucking zoo animal. Usually like a lion or a cheetah or some weird puffed up shit where you look like you should have whiskers coming out of your fucking cheeks. Just stop doing that to yourself.
Just age normally. For love of
graceful.
God.
Age gracefully.
Ooh.
Please.
Oh,
God. It's just unbelievable.
That is rough. That is a rough go around.
And for somebody who married into my family, you think I'm just kidding. Guy Ritchie's not related to me at all.
Oh.
They didn't even spell it right. He spells it Ritch, like bitch, Richie. We don't do that in my neck of the woods. Anyhow, yeah, it's just a little freaky, especially since I grew up with Madonna as a kid. Like when I was 12, 11, that's when all her hits started coming out, like Material Girl, and then Like a Virgin. Damn, when I was like 12 or 13 and that came out, man, I was like, am I alone in here?
Oh, my goodness.
All right. John Hurt. Depends on the person. They just overdo it. Some don't. I mean, send us a couple people who've done it right, John. Like somebody who...
It's still noticeable, but you...
Subtle.
Yeah, it's still noticeable, but yeah, I mean, just... This is a lot of work done.
Think of Nancy Pelosi. Oh, Joan Rivers. Oh, my God. You can't do that. You're supposed to age a little. That's how it works. I know that men age generally better than women, and so women are fighting it harder, right? I get it. But I could never imagine doing anything like that to my face. Cher, yeah. I mean, at some point, you just got to age gracefully and say, well, fuck it.
Well, the problem is they get a little done. You don't really notice it, and then they get another wrinkle or whatever, and then they get a little more done and a little more done. And all of a sudden, it's a lot done, and it never works out. Unless you're one of the early set or trendsetters who does it, like Mickey Rourke, as an example.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke fucked himself up.
I'm going to get this thing called plastic surgery done to me. I am not an animal.
He went from being
I'm not a monster.
One of the most attractive men to women out there in the 80s and 90s to being a monstrosity.
Ugh.
A guy who didn't look human anymore. So that's a good example of a man who took it too far, right?
Yep.
And I'm sure there are others out there, but I just haven't really thought about it. I can only remember ones that are the extreme cases.
All right,
and
so two people mentioned this. Let me pull it up here.
I would put this into the extreme case. I haven't noticed it though. Have you?
I think
on the new movie?
If Tom's got some work done. Now, I don't know if he's got some like dental work done or whatever, because sometimes he talks a little strange. But as a whole, I don't know if he jumps back and says he has. But I haven't really noticed it. I thought he's just aged.
Maybe he's done a good subtle one there.
Yeah.
I just watched that whole
Maverick
Top Gun.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was good. I'm embarrassed to say it.
No, it is a great movie, and what makes it a great movie is it's simple as fuck.
Yeah.
There's no complex aspect. There's no subverting expectations. It is simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's enough member berries in there that you're like, oh yeah, that really pulls at the heartstrings, you know? You're like, you like it.
There's a guy that didn't age gracefully, Val Kilmer.
Well, I mean, yes. He's also had throat cancer.
No, that's recent, isn't it?
Ish. Maybe like the last decade.
No, he's looked like shit for at least 15 years. I don't know. He just looks weird to me. I don't know if he had any plastic surgery.
He might have. It's possible, but I mean,
just got fat. I don't know.
He did also get fat for a second there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he also got throat cancer, so I throw all criticism by the way.
I hope he recovers from that. I mean, there's one thing I don't want it's throat cancer. But hell, I'm not doing myself much help, am I?
He deserves to get a fucking award for his performance in Maverick, man.
All right.
Baby needs Maverick.
Well done, Brad. All right.
Needs Maverick.
I think you need to take this picture of Madonna down.
I don't know. I think it's getting everybody hot and wild, so maybe not.
I don't know about that.
Okay, Derek, what is your thought on the 35-yard PKs from MLS?
I fucking thought they were fun as fuck.
So
I thought they were stupid, but I thought they were fun.
Tact has an unpopular opinion. American PKs is greater than regular PKs. The American PKs would benefit from the team with better players. Regular PKs kind of balance it out. Less skilled players promotes soccer terrorism, et cetera, et cetera.
So he's saying he'd rather have American PKs.
Correct. He's saying that it'd be better because you'd have the more talented players are more likely to make these type of PKs than to prayer and hope that somebody can convert a 12-yard free kick.
I will tell you what. I mean, if we had to start all over in soccer again and we had to rewrite the rules back in 1861 or whatever the fuck it was, yeah. I mean, obviously rules have changed a lot since, the game was invented. But I like this better. I agree with Tact. I'm sorry. I do. I'm not a big fan of PKs. Like
I hate PKs.
Right now.
First off, I want to address the turd. Turd says, "Hey, looks like my wife."
Brian McBride looks like your wife?
That's not Brian McBride. That's Marsh.
Jesse Marsh looks like your wife.
No, he's referring to Madonna.
Yeah, I know.
But anyways, personally, my opinion is I would like to see the game go the route of cricket, where it just continues to go on and on and on and on until there's a winner. It could last days until there's a winner.
I've actually watched some cricket recently because I can't remember what channel it's on. But, I'll go there and it's like there's nothing else on. And I'll be like, oh, there's this cricket thing. It's like India playing Pakistan or whatever it was. And I'll watch it. And I simply have no fucking understanding of what the fuck they are doing. I have zero understanding. I know they're the wickets.
Hit a little ball. It can go backwards and go any direction.
I know the pitcher. The pitcher or whatever they call it throws the ball into the ground before it hits the wicket. You rarely see them hit the wickets, so I don't know how sticky they are.
No, I feel like I haven't really watched any cricket, but I feel like if I sat down and watched cricket, I'd probably understand the rules more on that than I would rugby. There's just
I understand
like scrums. Rugby. There's tossing balls up. There's
well, there's a difference.
You can kick a ball between the uprights and get like a couple of points, or you can slide into the end zone and get a point. Some points. That's not.
So what happens in rugby is just like, why do they do that? Is the question you have, right? Like you're like, why a scrum? That seems really dumb. Why don't we just line up in a line or something? Why do we already know who's going to get possession, but we're going to make everybody hug each other in a big ball, and then we're going to roll the ball into the ball, even though we know who's going to get the ball.
And then they're going to hold each other by the ass and lift them up so they grab the ball or whatever.
And then you cannot leave that group hug thing until the ball comes out. Yeah.
We got to go now.
But other than that, the rules are really simple. You have to pass it backwards.
It's smear the person with the ball.
Or you have to kick it forward.
Myself.
You can kick it forward, but that's the only way you can throw it forward or kicking it forward. I mean, the rules are pretty basic. The reason guys slide into the end zone is you're not down in the end zone.
Yeah, I know why you slide
until you're touched, and you want to move it as much into the middle as you can, so the after kick or the free kick afterwards.
What about the rules of Australian football?
Australian rules football is one of the best fucking games ever fucking invented.
It takes all the good things of all the other sports and mashes it together.
It's like rugby meets basketball meets soccer meets American football, gridiron football. It is the best. I could go on and on here, but I don't want to bore anybody. But if you ever get a chance to watch an Australian rules football game, it is the best. Good day, gents. All right. I guess Juan's Salazar's from Australia. $2. We really do appreciate it, Juan.
Appreciate that.
So go check out that if you can.
My response to Tact, real quick.
Okay.
Was I said his Tact is currently being possessed by Lawless. What voodoo witchcraftery is afoot?
Yeah, but you agree with him. You made it sound like you don't.
No. I would say take all PKs. I hate regular PK shootouts because I think that's bullshit. You go through this entire match where maybe one team is overly dominant, and then all of a sudden, time ends. We're just going to kick some 12-yard shots.
Listen, it's not like it's that ridiculous. It's not like we're handing the ball to the player at 35 yards out and saying, okay, the first thing you need to do is you need to juggle it 3 times. It's got to land on your right shoulder. It's got to sit there for a second. That's got to roll off down your chest.
Carry it on your back.
Hit your pecker. Come up off your pecker, and then you can start. No, it's just like, here's the ball. Beep, whistle, go. And the goalkeeper can come out And
here's what I say: if you want to do this 35-yard PK stuff that we did, I think the taker needs to take a baseball bat and spin around 10 times before they kick the ball.
The goalie should have to do it then.
Fucking impressed.
The goalie should have to do it too.
Sure, I'll do both. Let's do both. Yeah, fuck it.
Yes, they both have to spin around.
I think the entire both teams need to do it all. That way, by the time you get to the fifth kicker, he's already fucked.
You know what they should do? Here's another idea. What you do at the end of the game is that you line up and have to play American football, and you have to get it across the end line for an extra point. And you keep doing that on both sides of the field, but it's all this in American rules. You can throw the ball forward.
You could take that and say, let's just turn it into handball at that point. I mean, basically, it's soccer, but you can grab the ball by your hand and throw it.
Right. And all those things would be ridiculous, people. Overly but this isn't really that ridiculous, really. A 30-yard start.
And
the goalie gets to come out. I'm a hockey fan, so I agree. Yeah, you don't even have to be a hockey fan.
It wants to Americanize the sport so that people would be like, oh, they do that in hockey.
Yep. You don't even have to be a hockey fan. You can just be like a prostitute in Bangkok and be all for this. This is not an issue because it's just much more fun to watch. And as there's more skill involved, honestly, like on a given day, I could probably still kick a fucking penalty kick in just by hitting the right corner when the other guy jumps the other way. It's not that hard. I mean, give me like a week to practice it again since I can barely move and my knees and back's all fucked up, but I could do it once. I just don't think that it becomes a guessing game, a flip of the coin, right? Not for the best free kickers, penalty takers in the world. They've got it down. Like a lot of those guys can look up till the very last second, watch the goalkeeper move, and then put it in the opposite direction every time. Messi does that shit. Although he's missed them too. Everybody misses some.
He's taking a 35-yard PK?
No, the elf meter, the regular elf meter distance. All right.
So Derek, have you caught Lawless's State of the Union about relegation and promotion?
Yes. He said that relegation dumbs down the game. And that was one of the tweets I tried to reply to yesterday when Twitter told me I had an excess amount of tweets.
All right, so we don't need to play the audio. Hey, should we play the audio for the chat?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, play.
All right, I need to stop and I need to reshare. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. This comment dumbs down commentary.
When you have promotion relegation hanging over, and in this case, relegation hanging over, it forces you to do things and to play in a certain way. We saw when John Deitch has come in. And look, I know that the game is subjective. And I look at the game differently that you look at the game and others look at the game. But in general, there is a widely accepted view as to what pretty soccer is. And
so I'm going to stop it there. Because a lot of people talk about using this as an example. I mean, they'll go into more detail here in a second, but why promotion relegation doesn't necessarily need to be at MLS, and that's the whole point of this argument, I guess.
No, I know.
But I guess the big point is that they're like, there's a really ugly soccer when you're battling for a relegation. It's really ugly soccer. I'm like, I'm sorry, but have you watched the bottom feeders of MLS for the last decade? Last 2 decades? I mean, I'm a Chicago fan, and I can flat out say it hasn't been great.
Well,
for the most part, it has not been great.
Here's the other perspective, though. Just recently, I find myself able to watch Man City play. Why? Because they don't play that bullshit tiki-taka fucking bullcrap ball that everybody seems to think is so fucking goddamn wonderful. Or they kick it around, kick it backwards, and kick it sideways for fucking 90 minutes. I can't stand it. I really can't. But a lot of people seem to think that's beautiful soccer. I agree with Lexi in this. Some people have a different perspective. And for me, I'd rather watch anything than that. That fucking.
I mean, when you got a fucking demigod as a center forward, you might as well just lob the ball forward to him and hope the guy puts it away.
They've definitely stopped doing that. They play a lot more forward now, Man City. I have to say they're actually watchable. It was another reason I couldn't stand watching Barca for some of those years. It's like, that's annoying.
Making 62 passes before taking a shot forward.
Yeah. And it was also why I was so happy we beat Spain in the Confederations Cup. It was like, fuck you. You can do that jackassery all you want all day. We're still going to hit you on the break twice and win the game. So here's my point to Alexi, though. There is an art. There is an art to being able to play the way Bob Bradley did against Spain in that Confederations Cup. It's just as beautiful to watch, just as exciting, and just as beautiful to watch. There's nothing dumb about what fucking Bob Bradley did to win that game. In fact, it's the opposite. It was a masterpiece in management. So he's just wrong. He was fine. Down.
Taking your squad that you usually play and then playing a different way. God, I mean, a manager that does that's strange.
Hey man, yeah, it's strange. It sure is now.
This Spain team is undefeated for like 5,000 games, and they like to possess and they like to cross that ball in. So I'm going to throw in two monsters in the center back, and we'll weather the storm and then get our chances. And we got our chances and it works.
It's a fucking art form. I'm sorry if you don't appreciate that art form, then fine. But I like watching the underdog sometimes. And Fulham often has to play this way, playing defense for 70% of the game or 65% of the game, but winning the game. That isn't happening as much anymore. They're a lot better than they used to be, but that's an art form too. So it's not dumbing it down because there's a lot of smartness that has to go in the way you do that. When you decide to counter, when you decide to make the push up, who are your players that you're going to have to pick to make those sort of those runs for you? That's an art form too. So he was fine until he said dumbing it down, which is what he's about to do.
And what rudimentary, raw, pragmatic soccer is. But in this moment,
that's what you're saying. What
Jesse Marsch needed to be,
straightforward,
and what ultimately I think he didn't want to or
but all soccer is pragmatic.
Was that pragmatic type of player?
Well, plus, and I'll tell you why.
No, because I'm sure.
Yeah, all soccer is pragmatic. If you got a team like Man City, pragmatic is doing what they're doing, crushing people, attacking, playing attacking soccer. That's pragmatic. All right. If you don't have a team like Man City, but you're playing Man City, then pragmatic isn't playing their game, because if you play the same game they're playing, they're going to be better at it than you. So being pragmatic for them is doing something different. And so pragmatic has many meanings. It just doesn't mean one thing. So that's all I'm
saying. In that sense, though, I mean, again, using Leeds as an example, I mean, they took it to Leeds, they took it to Chelsea, they took it to Liverpool, and 2 out of the 3 they got results. Unfortunately for Arsenal, for Leeds, they didn't get it against Arsenal, and I blame Bamford on that. But
yeah,
back full circle to 30 minutes ago.
I mean, a lot of people would say Jesse was not playing in a pragmatic way, and I think that might be true against certain teams, but he certainly looked better against better teams than poorer teams. That's the weird thing. That's the weird thing.
It was the same thing I said about Greg, quite frankly. I mean, I thought he looked better against better teams. And when we played weaker sides, our style just did not work to break it down. And he didn't adjust.
The difference is for Leeds, when Jesse was there, is that a lot of those poorer teams that they played, that they outplayed usually for the first 20 minutes of the game, but never scored or didn't score, they just start lobbing it. They start lobbing it forward. And that works because they're up there. The line was so high. You're asking Cooper and Koch to cover all that ground. Did I say Koch right? Koch. So, that puts you in danger. So, I don't want to. I hate this argument. It doesn't dumb things down. Poor teams have to find out how to fucking stay up.
How to win.
But that doesn't mean the way they're playing is somehow repulsive or repugnant or ugly. In fact, sometimes that's what makes the game fun. Just look at Wrexham and how, you can say they played the last game very pragmatic in the first half. they play pretty defensively. And then when they got their chance to hit, they hit. Now they didn't win, but it was fun to watch both of those games. And it wasn't because Wrexham wasn't playing pragmatically. They were doing what they thought they were capable of, and they were holding a good line on defense and not exposing themselves. But when they got the opportunities on set pieces and otherwise, they took advantage of those. So
yeah,
all right.
I don't think we need to do more of the conversation with Lawless. I think we basically covered it all. I don't think he's going to add much more to it.
Yeah. Michael Higuera, thank you, brother, for the $5. Not sure if you guys talked about it, but there's 70K tickets sold for El Tráfico. It's the first game of the season. No, we haven't talked about it, but, LAFC and LA Galaxy, that should be a thing going forward.
Yeah.
As much as MLS fails to fucking promote it properly, it's growing on its own organically, thankfully.
We're gonna take this growing lead and we're gonna put it behind a paywall.
Paywall. That might be one of the games that's actually going to be live on TV.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would hope all rivalries would be played live.
Yep.
So,
do we want to go through the 21 things we learned?
We got a couple other things to cover real quick. And why did it bounce out? Oh, because that's right. Because I know why. All right, so Captain Adams says, not going to lie, David is cooking. Look at that, 16 goals.
Yeah,
that's pretty solid compared to everybody else.
Davies doesn't play center forward.
Yeah.
It's not fair. Laren,
goal contributions, though. I mean, he can contribute being a wingback.
Estacchio does not play center forward. Arfield and Ugbo, we're really going to put them up there?
Yeah, but ignore the rest of those people who care. Let's jump over here. Let's look at the Mexican and the United States in comparison.
Okay, well, if you add up all of the goals scored by Americans, I believe they actually are more than Canadians.
Yeah, but I mean, the Canadian does have a. My whole point brings up. He goes, Adam says, not gonna lie, David is cooking. My response was, he's playing in league. I mean, does he even CONCACAF, bro? I mean, this is just fun.
I mean, David's a great player.
For shit and giggle.
But, yeah, I mean, I get it. He is on fire. He's got a lot of great players around him. Al Weinstein.
Yeah.
Al Weinstein, in Germany, we'd call him Weinstein. If you took 50 coaches from the top 5 leagues and gave them the option to start Dest or Scally, I'll bet the majority would deploy Scally. Adjust your depth charts accordingly. I wonder if you're right.
The responses below are kind of split, too. And I think most people are like, it'd be like 50-50. I mean, I feel like some people would probably take Dest, some people would probably take Scally.
Dest played really well in the World Cup.
Yes.
So
that was my stance, too. And he's going to be – obviously, he's coming off of a unsuccessful loan to Milan, and Barca's going to try to sell him or try to loan him back out again because I doubt they're going to keep him. But the World Cup alone should warrant, and his skill level should warrant an easy loan option.
There's something about him that coaches don't like, and he needs to figure out what that is.
Unpredictability. That's my take on it. You don't know which Dest you're going to get. And quite frankly, he moves up in the attack, but he doesn't necessarily offer all that much in the defense.
He hasn't been offering very much in the attack either for AC Milan.
So, I mean, at least with Scally, you have a consistent back option. I'm not going to say wingback because he's been playing more back than wingback.
Well, Scally knows his limitations, and he knows when to get his ass backwards.
As a whole, my take on this is that because there's been a lot of back and forths as far as saying like, oh, Scally would never play for a top team in Europe, and I'm like, okay, cool. He doesn't have to. I would much rather our players get consistent playing time at a mid-table team in a top league than bit minutes off the bench, if that.
Yeah, and Gladbach's a pretty solid squad.
Yeah,
it's not like they're at risk of being relegated anytime in the last, I can't even remember seasons. It's been a long time. So
well, a couple seasons back, they were literally on relegation bound. But was it last season? I mean,
I don't remember.
Scally was there when they were like battling relegation.
No, that was like the very beginning of the season. You can't count that yet. Just because you start off with a few bad games and you're at the bottom of the table with like 4 games played. That's pretty meaningless.
I don't think it's 4 games
Especially,
played.
especially when you had to play Bayern, Dortmund, Leipzig, whatever it was, you know.
I almost want to say it was last season, and I thought that for the most of the season they were like towards the bottom of the table, along with Wolfsburg. I thought they were both combating relegation at the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's asking a lot. I've been drinking too much, so.
Yeah,
but it's a fun conversation to have. I mean, new coach comes in. Do you think Dest gets the go around, or do you think Scally gets the go around?
Yeah, it'll still be Dest on the charts
first,
unless Dest drops off the face of a cliff, which I don't think he'll do. He'll find somebody else to play for, and if that's like a mid-table team or whatever,
I
Villarreal or
he's gonna have to recognize that it's not going to be the top team, one of the top teams, or historically top teams. You know,
right?
It's going to have to be pick up a mid-table team and redefine yourself at this point.
Needs to do something. I mean, he's not down there in Conrad de la Fuente territory, or Sebastian Soto territory at least, or Otis Sowie territory, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of hope still left there. It's not like he is a total prima donna or doesn't. I don't know. I mean, he's been criticized for not working hard at practice too. So I don't know. You would think you would fix those kind of things if you heard him enough times. All right, so we ready to go to the 21? 21 things?
That's right. All right, I'm going to rely on you to tell me what the each one of them is because I don't have it pulled up. But I've got the slides.
All right, slide number 21.
Well, hold on.
Oh, wait. Oh.
Wrong slide. This is a slide.
This is the 21st thing we learned. Michael Cameraman knows his nickname. And I think that in this day and age is pretty interesting. Especially when you consider that our show isn't Pete's show and it's not
Contact for not Sam
Jack's show, but he knows his name. His nickname is the Turd. I think that's
I love how we're creating this lore. We're creating lore all around between this Miazga, the whole Ballistic Sister thing.
I'm not proud of that one.
No, I'm not either. But I mean, that's definitely lore created. We have tight shirt under our belt. That's long term built. I don't know. I'm honestly proud of the lore that we've developed that is carried over into common U.S. men's national team talk.
Yeah, I am too. But let's not stroke it too hard.
Doesn't require it.
I didn't bring KYA, so. All right, number 20. The 20th thing we learned is, holy shit, that's small. There we go. And this is sort of a stream of thought. So if this might go astray on some of these. The 20th
I'm going to let you go with this one.
The 20th thing I learned was in this song, Jack and Diane, the line, sucking on a chili dog outside a tasty treat. That is definitely, those are lyrics that could have been changed. Because, listen, if you're sucking on a chili dog outside of the tasty treat, someone's probably going to call the cops because that's weird. You should be eating the chili dog, not sucking it. Just saying, like chewing would work.
I think they may be sucking that chili dog behind what was the place? What was the establishment called?
Tasty Treat.
Behind Tasty Treat
in Nashville, to the Tasty Treat in Nashville,
maybe behind the dumpsters that way nobody sees them at it.
So what you're saying is
euphemism.
That Diane is giving Jack.
I think Jack's got the
chili dog.
Chili dog, yeah. I think she's sucking his chili dog. If you know what I'm saying.
I think you're giving that metaphor a little too far. I think that song's pretty literal. Sucking on a chili dog.
That's the messiest thing to do ever. No, it's definitely getting a blowjob.
Oh, come on.
100%. Getting a blowjob outside the Tasty Treat. Yeah, absolutely.
He's getting a blowjob in public
100%.
Right next to the Tasty Treat.
100%.
Where there are other people buying hamburgers and chili dogs and getting ice cream. That does not sound right. There are no metaphors about swallowing in the song, so we don't know. But I do now. He could have sang it, chewing on a chili dog outside the Tasty Treat. Anyhow.
Everybody's agreeing with me.
It's my good buddy, joke, John Cougar Mellencamp. I have met him. couple times actually. I've actually told those stories on here, right? Remember the famous line he said in studio to the girls singing in the background singers?
Suck on my chili dog?
No.
Oh, okay.
He said, put your pussies into it, girls. Because he wasn't getting the take.
Okay, seriously. It's definitely innuendo. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. No, it's not. All right. That's a literal thing. And
nobody
then
sucks on a chili dog.
That's why I think the lyrics need to be changed.
I know it plays into the fact that it's an innuendo. We'll have to do some research on this.
I have never
just don't Google search "sucking on a chili dog."
I've heard a lot.
I don't want to say anything about it.
I've heard a lot of words used for eating. Like here's a good word that people use: I inhaled that burger. But nobody says, "Man, I sucked that burger." Well, they say, "Suck it down." I sucked it down. I sucked that burger down. Have you ever heard that? Man, I really fucking sucked those wings down. Because you kind of do suck wings. You chew them, then you suck them off the bone. Anyhow, nevertheless, let's get on to...
what's the line from Be Cool where The Rock tells Vince Vaughn, he goes, "Oh, I love Roscoe's, man. I could take one of those drumsticks, put it in my mouth, and just suck all the meat right off." He goes, You better leave my drumsticks alone. You get your own drumsticks."
I don't even know what movie that is.
Be Cool. Oh, it's a great movie. Great movie.
Modern movie. Didn't watch it. Okay, so we've got people out there who are pretending that some of us, the rest of us, are in some sort of weird QAnon-y cult, as they put it.
We're cult. We're QAnon.
So all of you that watch Pete and Tact and us, even some cases Hercules Gomez, we are all have this weird sick cult that we're building. In fact, one of the guys that mentions this is it Alec Eiffel. Can we bring up his tweet? And
let's start with Rich Nazaro, because this is where it all starts. And the following two tweets are all going to be coinciding with this.
One problem, Rich says, with unchallenged commentary on topics is it can continue to exist in an echo chamber. Oh boy, here we go. If people ignore, refuse to engage in discussions about it, they continue to believe their worldview is accurate with such authority that others will believe their false premise. But no one gives an example of what the fuck they are talking about. What false premise? What lie? What unfacto? What's the word everybody's using again? Misinformation. Are people spreading?
It's false. False news.
How about give us an example of the misinformation that's being spread? Like Brooks and Berhalter had a great fucking relationship. No, they did not. Christian Burke, Be Cool is a martyr movie according to Derek. I don't know. I've never heard of it.
15 years old, man.
Dude, I haven't watched a single movie The Rock has ever been in. Ever.
Oh, you're missing on some gems.
Oh, I'm sure I am.
He's great in that movie, by the way.
All right. I'm sure he blows people's nuts off.
Did you ever see Get Shorty back in the day? With John Travolta?
Yeah, I barely remember it. It's
Be Cool is the sequel. So
okay.
It's still a John Travolta movie. The Rock is a side character in it.
Okay. Well, good. He'd be good as a side character.
There you go.
I'm sure he is. Then Alec, follows up and says, U.S. men's national team Twitter seems almost QAnon-y.
QAnon-y.
It would be QAnon-esque, Alec, if you want to do it properly. They have
QAnon-ish?
That would work better than QAnon-y. That's weird. They have been barking nonsense. Again, no specific nonsense with no pushback for years, and there is no penetrating it. Well, that's because you haven't used enough KY, motherfucker. Lube it up. Political Twitter is much the same way for many. Oh, boy, now we got to bring politics. And he's already brought it in with the Q, right? He's already brought it in, the conversation, which I think is disgusting. Why would we compare anybody who has a belief or follows soccer and is passionate about it? Why do they fit in any category? They shouldn't.
What's funny is obviously here, when this all came out, I had a severe heyday. Just having fun posting to all these people. and just joking around, having a blast. And we'll see some of these posts, but I also will say that I don't have a problem joking around about that, and then turning around. And me and Alec actually had a nice little back and forth today with old internet. He brought up the pork chop sandwiches from the G.I. Joe remix, if you will, redub. And it's old internet lore. And I brought up E-Bomb's World, RB and Chief, Homestar Runner. This is all classics, and we had a nice little fun conversation about that. Despite the fact that I happen to coincide and be one of the founding members of a cult, so it's fun that you can have this back and forth.
Well, we're not a cult, number one, and number two,
and we're getting matching jumpers and sneakers, and probably no Kool-Aid though. It's weird.
All I'm asking from Alec is when he and the dude above him, giving him dropping his nuts into his mouth. I just want them both to tell me what specific misinformation is happening that I don't know about. Because I see dumb things all the time, but I don't ever think that they're like massive. Like, oh, well, that's a huge thing that's going on that everyone believes. That's not true, except for dumb shit like blackmail. All right. That was big for a while. Everybody believed it was blackmail. Well, it wasn't blackmail.
I feel like the blackmail narrative was more QAnon-y.
Yes, it was.
We've done.
And it was pushed by the establishment media. Blackmail. That's where that came from. Not us. It didn't come from fucking Pete. It didn't come from Tact. It didn't come. Well, Jake. I don't know. Jake fucked that up. So my whole point here is there is no soccer QAnon-like community. There just isn't. We're too disparate. We disagree with each other about just so many small and big things.
And
there's no way that's possible.
We covered Al Weinstein's topic a second ago. Yeah. And he got in this huge debate with a Southern gentleman. Mm-hmm. And if you look at Southern Gentleman, he follows Tact, he follows Pete, all these things. So it's all on the same group, but they're having enough of a disagreement that he called Al a fake account because he only has 271 followers, and he ended up calling him a coward later because he tagged me into it because I was like, maybe this is going to be a dumbass poster of the week, but I've never had any problem with Southern Gentleman. Personally.
Yeah, we don't do the dumbass poster of the week, but we thought about it, bringing it back, but
it's going to have to be very specific. Randos who might actually follow our channel, probably not try to piss them all off.
What was that article we read on air on our show that was all like this? It was like, oh my God, the one thing the World Cup proved is how fucking disruptive and disgusting the U.S. soccer. You don't have to pull it up, but
I don't remember what it was. I mean, I remember talking about it, but I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember who wrote that, but that article was disgusting. And that's what you cannot do here. The whole thing about this is there is no such thing as a bunch of a community that it all thinks the same way. No, we are all individuals and we all have our individual opinions. I don't see a cult like. A cult is where everybody follows the same fucking ideas, the same exact talking points. It's a dogmatic system where there's no deviation is allowed. That's a cult. No, there's no such thing as that. Because even people that like our show disagree and tell us to fuck off on occasion. So I just don't think that's.
I like those
again. I just don't. And the other reason I don't like it is it's like they're trying to put themselves in a position of authority so they can pontificate and make themselves feel bigger about like, okay, yeah, we're the real people who know the real shit. You don't know the real shit, dude. And besides, the people that you think are in this cult, let's say it's Pete and Tact. Who has the inside guy at U.S. Soccer? Wouldn't that be Pete getting breaking news about U.S. Soccer 3 days before it comes out? And then it's exactly what he said it was? Who knows all the players personally? That would be Tact. He knows a lot of those guys. He fucking DMs them. He has them on his show. Who knows old writers who are still writing today? We do.
Mike H points it out too. He points out 29 and 29. Diego on the first spaces said everything, and it all came true by the time everything was announced.
Yeah,
I mean, you can call it QAnon if you want. I mean, it's not, because it's not. We're not tinfoil adding it up.
And Tact and everybody else, before we actually knew the facts, all of us took what 29 said with a grain of salt before we knew the facts. We waited. We didn't jump on 29 and say, oh yeah, there's the real news. No, we had to wait because we didn't know who he was. So it's not like any of us are doing this irresponsibly, and most people don't. I think even people on that Twitter talk thing, a lot of people were like, well, hold on now. Who is this guy? Everybody needed to hold on, and that's fine. Nobody jumped on that and stroked it until it exploded. Most people kind of like touched it.
Well,
they're like, okay, that's fine. I'll poke it a little bit, but I'm not ready to.
Said on our first show, he says, hey, man, I'm just up here saying stuff. You can take what I say with a grain of salt.
Yeah. So, Jose Reyes, we love you, brother. Really, bro, we have enough politics in life and in sports. Can we please just leave it out, Alec? Same name as a movie set producer, trustworthy. Yeah.
Hopefully Eiffel didn't shoot anybody, though.
Alec Eiffel. Who's he talking about?
The movie set producer is Alec Baldwin.
Oh, that incident. Yeah. I don't like bringing those sort of political, where we're separating ourselves into these two different Team A and Team B. It shouldn't be like that. We're following the sport as soccer fans. That's everybody. That's the whole community. And if people want to decide that they're above and they, then it's not good. Alex Diego Jones. I don't think so quite, but he certainly is fun to listen to. What are we on? Rich,
the talking point continues. Start up here with Alec again.
I wish I could take that throwaway tweet back. I only used it because Jay and those guys got so offended when the Seattle guys made fun of them for it after the Twitter space. I have no idea what this is, Brett.
Ignore it. Just basically, he says he posted a throwaway tweet just to piss off Jay and other guys, which I think it had to do with I don't know what it was about. Regardless,
I have no idea what that
regardless, he made a throwaway tweet just to piss off some people. And Rich Nazaro says, I got to add some more to my mute list. It's all good. And then I responded by saying, that way the topics can remain unchallenged. Words for thee, but not for me.
Okay. Yeah, I could never follow that whole thing because
it all transitions to the same thing because U.S. Men's National Team Stan does quote the QAnon thing, which was the original tweet for you got to challenge these opposing topics, otherwise they're just going to fester in an echo chamber. Derek, if you don't challenge them, what are you going to do? So
I'm fine.
Rich basically says, I'm just going to mute them. So that's almost like that way they remain unchallenged, right?
It depends on how they're challenging. If you're coming at me in a sort of like you're the know-it-all and you're going to generalize people and make accusations and pontificate while you do it. I mean, for me, when I look at that, it's like, man, you're just lazy or you're feeling threatened or you're prejudiced in some way.
Yeah.
And you're just assuming everyone is part of this group when really it's you. You're kind of the asshole because you're making all these assumptions. And I'm not calling Eric an asshole or anybody else specifically. Yeah. I'm just saying generally, if that's how you come into a conversation, like you already know more than the person you're talking to.
And I don't want to associate anybody with the group of people I'm going to mention here, but it's like that meme, or it's not even a meme. It's just a clip from a movie, but it shows like a Nazi guy, and he's like, "Are we the baddies?" Question mark. It's you project. Sometimes people will project what's actually happening onto other people, what they're doing onto other people. So I don't know.
So yeah, there was this guy who responded to one of my tweets, and then I responded to him, and then he was really nasty, not saying who it is, and then he disappeared. And apparently somebody else who was a friend who does follow us texted the dude and said, "You don't even know who you're dealing with, dude, so I would not go any deeper with that." And because he's just being nice right now, and you're wrong, by the way. And so this guy just deleted all his shit. And that's fine. That's fine. But I don't think it needs to get there if you don't start the conversation from a point where you assume I'm a know-nothing dumb fuck, which is what no one should do. I don't approach anybody with the idea immediately that you're a dumb fuck. Why would I do that?
You gotta be more like me, people, and know that Derek's a know-nothing dumb fuck.
You gotta
don't assume it, know it.
Kind of a clown, but I don't know if I'm a know-nothing. All right, Zachy for $1.99. Thank you, brother. QAnon, I hardly even know her. QAnon.
Fuck her. I hardly know her. I think it's
okay.
QAnon.
Thanks
for the $1.99, man. Appreciate that, Zach.
And this is to us?
Yeah, so
but it's for Football Moments. He's pro us, he's not going to.
So this is the unchallenged thing still. He goes into a whole echo chamber, which is hilarious type of thing, and I go. He even talks about some of your talking points, where it's like some of us even disagree on a daily basis.
Yes,
every single day we disagree with each other, and I go, I agree. Wait, I mean I disagree. Shit, let me check the cult bylaws to see who I am this week.
Right.
So Football Moment says, you guys are the equivalent of QAnon grifters because you had 29 on apparently. I'm patiently waiting for the Hunter Biden's laptop arc of the story to see who smokes the best crack. I bet it's Derek. It's Derek, isn't it?
Okay.
So I responded back
saying... I've never smoked crack before. I've never smoked crack. I've done coke, but I've never smoked crack. And I'm not endorsing using coke. I'm just saying I was very young. All right.
I responded by saying, if a laptop is being confiscated, I'd be more worried about all the granny nun goo girl videos.
Oh, come
There's a reason
on.
why Derek tells you to share the video with all your grandmas.
I read that one. I think I even liked that one. I think I did.
Let's see who likes it.
I think I did. I think I liked it.
Nope, you didn't like it.
Damn it. All right.
You lied. You lied.
I thought it was funny. I read it. It was like, damn.
And then Al says that you want them to accidentally upload the nudies.
I got to tell you, one thing I am not into is old people porn at all. No offense to you old people, because I can barely look at my own dick, and I'm certainly not going to look at yours or your old fucking raggedy ass pussy. So, I mean, if you can't expect me to stand in front of a mirror and go, yeah, I'm in great shape, don't expect me to watch that nasty ass fucking old people porn. It was me, Derek.
Assuming Mike H is saying that it was him that deleted all of his tweets? Maybe?
No, I think he's saying he's the one involved in the granny porn.
Oh, maybe that's it.
He directed it. I don't know if it was him or not.
A lot of vomit bags next to it. All right, action.
My point is that we could have continued to have that conversation, and just like so many other ones I have had so far, even Alec and I ended amicably.
Yeah.
Now we may not after this show. But
I mean, there's no reason why there should be butthurt feelings over bringing up the QAnon thing. I mean, it's public. He posted it, and we're disagreeing with it. Right. We're not saying he's a bad person. I even specified that I had a nice interaction with him today, talking about his old internet lore. So
yeah, and then you shared nude pictures of each other.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I sent more.
At some point, he's like, that's enough.
Yeah. It's like, I'm changing my number. Yeah.
All right.
Number 18.
18. Otisawi doesn't like playing center back. He told Greg no thanks. But his attitude
with some kind of back.
His attitude problem isn't just reserved for Greg either. So Otisawi's a bust. This is what he enjoys doing. So listen, I mean,
blame him.
But what the fuck is that? Is that a goddamn elevator? It looks like a moving coffin.
It looks like a phone booth. turned into an elevator. That is some skinny fucking elevators, man.
I would not get in that shit. You couldn't.
Claustrophobic, man. Oh my god, are we there yet?
I would not get in
Doors
that.
haven't even closed, Derek. Oh my god.
I've been in elevators like that in Chicago, old Chicago hotels.
Yeah.
I fucking hated them. I was just so drunk I didn't care.
Yeah.
But if I were sober, I would not get in there. I would immediately go into a panic attack. Be like, I'm in a coffin. Oh my God, don't bury me.
I've seen bigger bathrooms on airplanes.
I've seen bigger stand-up showers. Yeah. This is unreal. All right, number 17. Raina's mom doesn't understand her boundaries. Which is great.
I thought you were going to go into old Jesse's mom thing.
No.
Raina's mom.
No, I'm not. Raina's mom doesn't understand her boundaries, which might be great in the sack, but not in parenting. I'm sure that Claudio's enjoyed Mo. I mean, look at her. Look at her, and then look at pictures of her 20 years ago or 10 years ago, and then look at pictures of him 10 years ago. Listen, I'm just saying, as far as like on an attractive scale, she's a 10, and he's like, well, whatever. He's lower. Let's just put it that way.
She's a 10. She would be a 10, and he's on the national team.
So, yeah, exactly. All I'm saying is
he's playing in Europe.
Claudio's got to have a great fucking constitution and sense of humor, because wow. All right. Anyhow,
fortunately, I've got a good sense of humor and looks, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yes, you're wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So says CP. All right.
Depends on the night. Depends on the night.
Flips a coin. All right, number 16. 29. He knows some shit, but he's also allowed to have an opinion. And guess what? You shouldn't mistake his opinions for when he's telling you about things that he saw as facts. And I think that's sort of the problem that we're getting into now. People are like hearing some of the things, but that's his opinion. He's made it pretty clear when he's making an opinion that
would be the equivalent of saying like, oh, he said that Weston was blindsided, but then Weston in an interview said that, he likes playing for Armas too. Like,
yeah,
well, one can be right and the other can be right as well.
Yeah, it'd be like if I said, both Lincoln and Kennedy were assassinated, and then I said only blondes are hot. Well, the first two are actually things that happened. The third thing is my opinion, and you got to know the difference. And some people don't, and they need to figure out when an opinion's given and not a factual statement. That happens all the time. All right. Mm-hmm. The straight red card is not a cult. It's more like a dive bar.
I'm telling you where I'm going to dive into.
Oh, Jesus. Motorboat.
I mean, come on. How is he looking off in this direction and not just like?
Because they're plastered, Brett.
Are you saying if you're plastered, you wouldn't notice a nice rack in front of your face?
No.
Bringing you more beer?
If this guy was plastered as these guys, it doesn't look like they're capable of much at this point, except for saggy dicks. All right. People who now, this is number 14, now hate Gio Reyna. People who now hate Gio Reyna do exist on Twitter. Just because you've never seen a giraffe doesn't mean they don't exist.
I was waiting to find out where this picture was going to come into play at. I'm like Gio Reyna's haters do exist. I'm like looking at these drafts. I'm going.
Well, the reason that I use the giraffe is because when the very first drawings of giraffes made it to Europe, people looked at them and said, bullshit. That's bullshit. That's no way.
Animals don't have spots. Oh, probably not that.
And if you blow this up one more, can you do it? Look what the original name of it is called. The
majestic and graceful giraffes or
camel leopard. Leopards? Camel leopard. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I went historical and got you a really old first drawing of giraffes. And a lot of people didn't believe they existed, even though they did. And the only reason they didn't believe they existed is because they hadn't seen one. That's like all those peckerwoods who were telling me, the ones that were doing it just disingenuously. No one has said that. No one has said that.
Like this antelope probably has like throat cancer. Look at that thing.
No, that's just where the animal's balls are located on that particular breed. It's got testicles underneath.
When I think of giraffes, all I can think about is Gladiator. Whenever they're at whatever the desert arena is, and he's like, the guy's like grabs a dude by the nuts that's selling a product. He's like, "You sold me queer giraffes. They just walk around. They never mate."
Well, I'm glad that's where you went with it, because I was pretty much thinking you were going to say fist fucking. All right. I was pretty sure. That's
and
where
you've probably seen a video of a giraffe fighting another giraffe, right?
Yeah.
Just like the necks are just like.
It's insane. Let me swing around the most vulnerable part of my body.
They were born with maces for a head, or a flail, I guess. More
Shouldn't
like
they kick each other? Wouldn't that
do
make
something like some back
sense?
kicks or something? Yeah, just say. I mean, how many giraffes died of like broken necks after their fights? Like,
they got those little horns. Couldn't they go head to head or something?
Yeah.
More safe than swinging their fucking necks around
or
a bunch of fucking weirdos?
If your neck was that fragile, like, you can have her this week. Go for it.
That'd be like, us whipping out our fucking testicles and swinging them at each other. That's like the most vulnerable part of our bodies. I've never seen a leprechaun. Does that mean they exist? No, there's a different way of looking this as well, Johnny. No, I mean, people did draw pictures of leprechauns, right? But leprechauns, no one ever proved it, I guess, in the end. So, but the point was, just because you've never seen it doesn't mean they don't exist.
Yeah, they probably was what, like somebody of short stature who just had a bucket of gold.
It's just a small Irish person, and plenty of those exist.
They're like, oh, dude, he's mystical, he's magical, he's a leprechaun.
I have to say, leprechauns do exist. If you've ever met a 5'4" redheaded guy from Ireland that says "top of the morning" to you, that's a leprechaun.
I think 5'4" Irish redheads probably avoid the term "top of the morning" to you. Just saying.
Maybe so. Adam Wiggins, the antelope. The antelope has lymphoma. I know, actually, that's how they're built. As I said, Adam, they have their testicles swing from their necks. It's just a very odd thing in the animal kingdom. All right, next one.
I've never seen the bald neck before. I've seen the bald chin from Men in Black 2, but
all right.
Not bald neck.
So when I say Gio ran we can skip this.
We can skip this one?
I think so.
Have you ever seen this episode of South Park?
Yes.
It is the best South Park episode ever.
It's one of
Make
the better
Love,
ones.
Not Warcraft. Fucking phenomenal.
It
hit way too close to home because I was playing Final Fantasy XI, which is basically Final Fantasy's MMO version of that at the time. And I watched this episode, I go, what the fuck am I doing with myself here?
That part I didn't get most of the goddamn show because
I
don't know.
You didn't get the show?
I don't know anything about War.
You have to know World of Warcraft. That shit was everywhere.
No, I don't know.
You played it before by any means. I never played World of Warcraft.
No, I never played it. I didn't know much about it. My sons were into that shit. Here we go. Gio Reyna scores a lot on your mom. What does that mean? It isn't directed at any community, but specifically to those people who think Gio sucks and should never play for the United States.
And specifically their mom, right?
Yes. So don't take offense to it.
Anyways, you might have a very soccer gifted younger brother before too long. Congrats.
So don't take offense to that as much as you have. And I don't know why anybody's worried about it. That's such a joke comment. It's such a joke. Like, you're going to take that seriously? Hey, man, I'm talking about my mom.
That's my mom, man.
Jesus Christ. Next one. Greg and Jesse are both system dogmatists.
I see you gave Jesse a little bit more space, though.
I did because he's more likable. Greg is less truthful. Now, in some ways, they're both kind of a little bit full of shit, but I actually believe Jesse believes the shit he's saying coming out of his mouth, whereas I know Greg doesn't believe some of the shit coming out of his mouth. Like, we're going to play a high line at the World Cup, and that should that pretty much excludes
this guy or that guy.
Reed and Brooks from playing for us. So let's move on. Hey, quit asking me.
Into a Chicago gangster, eh?
Stop asking me penetrating questions, Lawless. And the guy I can't remember, Mossy.
Penetrating questions by Lawless?
Yeah, because remember they went on the interview with Lawless and Mossy. Then they asked him about Brooks. And he said, well, right now, we're really planning on playing a high line, so I don't think that's really...
Did they press it after that was a question?
No, they did.
There's one thing by asking the question, but if you don't ask follow-up questions, then it's just sort of like then you're right.
Yeah. But I don't want either of them to be the coach, but I will take Jesse over Greg any day of the week. I don't even have to think about it. Next one, Wasserman Agency and their players are not fans of Greg. His nickname and code name for the agency is, in fact, Swamp Butt, the same as it is at you at soccer. Swamp Butt. I think it's
Swamp Butt.
I think it's the same Swamp Butt that Dave Chappelle refers to in his comedy skit. You ever had Swamp Butt? It's like your ass is just nasty all day long. Yeah.
Oh shit! Literally.
Yeah, because you're like you have gas and you're just kind of farting all day. You got the swamp butt, and then you got to go in like you haven't taken a shit, but you got to go in the bathroom and wipe your ass because you got swamp butt. All right, Wes and Wes's crew hang out with Pogba in Miami. Wes parties a lot, but
technically speaking, when West isn't in Europe, he lives in Miami.
Yes, not far from Pogba. So we do know this.
And they party.
And we do also know now that West prefers champagne. Yep.
It's an expensive habit to have.
That's a fact, folks. See, all these important things that we've learned over the last year.
A fancy bourbon would go a long way and significantly cheaper.
True and true, but I like champagne, so I'm with Wes. I hate bourbon.
For the price that I guarantee that Wes pays for champagne, it's not worth it.
I still like that shit that I had you drink when you were
how much was the bottle? Out of curiosity.
I think it is $14.99 or something.
And
like
I would
that.
wager that his is probably like 100 times.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Times more expensive than that.
But
I'm just saying.
It's German champagne though. It's Schloss Biebrich, which is really to me, it's way better than any other champagne I've ever had. And maybe it's because I'm biased, but I like it. It tastes great.
I think they've just swindled the culture, quite frankly. Hey, buy this ridiculously expensive liquor, or not even liquor, but I mean alcohol.
I drink
an entire bottle and still drive home.
I drank a lot of champagne that was really expensive that sucked. I'll be truthful.
It's just
I didn't like it.
I don't know. I'm a pleb. I'll drink the bottom shelf if need be. Quite frankly, that's what I drank tonight. But you can't taste the bottom shelf when you mix.
You drank the bottom shelf with Evie? Yeah. Her bottom shelf? Getting some golden shower activity here. All right.
You've already dubbed that I've got chlamydia, so I mean, why not?
Well, let's move on to other things you've learned this season. While Brett is aware of what a tossed salad is, he's now aware of sounding as well. And who uses sound? Who does sounding, Brett?
The Sounders.
Correct. All right.
I remember.
All right. Next thing that we learned is if you get called a ball snuggler by somebody, don't go jumping straight to calling them a cocksucker.
I feel like that's not a ball snuggler right there.
He's snuggling
down the ball.
He's just snuggling in his mouth.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay.
Like so many fans out there.
That'd be more like a ball gargler.
No, he's not gargling. He's softly holding Greg's balls in his mouth. Now, if somebody calls you a ball snuggler, are you going to jump to start calling the guy a fucking cocksucker? I think that's kind of a fucking really harsh move up the ladder, don't you think?
I feel like when you strike first blood, anything's fair game at that point.
I think it's what I call offensive insult inflation.
Sure, I don't disagree. Well, you got to step up. You can't go less than ball snuggler. You are a tickle monster. You can't say that.
Yeah,
you got to take the step up.
You can't be like jump from that to like, oh yeah, well I bet you have your tongue up Greg's ass. What? I called you a snuggler, and now I'm
talking about the guy gargling his balls. So, I mean, might as well, I guess.
You got to take it's a level at a time. If somebody calls you a snuggler, then you got to be like, well, maybe you're a gentle squeezer. I don't know, but I think you got to balance that out. You can't go jumping straight to salad tossing. All right. Brooks never had a back strain. Let's get this really clear. He never was removed from the roster in October because he never was on the roster.
My back hurts. I can't play this window, Coach. I'll play this weekend's club match. Thank you very much.
Exactly. If you can find a roster with him on it before he was in some scribbled notes at the bottom that said, yeah, he's not being called in for back strain. He never made the roster, so he was never removed from a roster he never
you
made.
Think Greg called him up and was like, hey, Brooks, I thought you had a back set. I put a heating pad on it one night, and it was good, right as rain.
I mean, people keep telling me he was on the roster. No, he wasn't. He was never on it. Find it. Go find it. It's out there. The rosters are out there.
This is the same thing that happened with Gio with the Wales game.
Mm-hmm.
He had the issue during pre-camp. Greg, he apologized. Greg's like, your punishment's going to be the Wales game. You're not going to play. And then this is hypothetically speaking with some solid.
A lot of solid.
So,
yes.
But it's, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm going to tell everybody that you're injured. That way they don't ask a lot of questions.
Right.
And then Gio's like, fuck you. I'm telling everybody I'm good, but you don't have to give me a reason.
And
come on.
All the info we have says that's exactly what happened here. In fact, we said it the fucking day after this roster came out. We reported it, and then we reported it again later, and then we told you the Brooks will never play for Greg. And we were right. And we told Jimmy Conrad on the show, and he was disbelief. He's like, well, I don't know where you're getting your news. But I'm like, hey, Jimmy, it's true, dude. He will never play for Greg. That shit, that's done. That relationship is over. That fucking bridge has been crossed and burned. He was on the October roster initially. No, he wasn't. Find the roster, Chris.
Prove Derek wrong. Find it.
Find one. There were lots of reports. When the roster came out, it had the normal roster. There was no Brooks on it. All it had was a little note at the bottom that said Brooks was not on the roster because of back strains, and he will not be replaced by any other player. So he never made the roster because when Greg called him, they came up with the back strain thing immediately. He was left off the roster. That's all I'm saying. If you can find one, I'm okay with it. I will eat crow.
Send it away.
Send it away.
Derek, I'm looking at the chatter thing. I see my little weather app down at the bottom.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's saying that there's a wintry mix. How would you spell wintry?
Winter. Why?
Okay. They spell it Wintry. Wintry. Wintry mix.
I'll have to look that up.
The fuck does that mean?
That's interesting. So we are talking about the October roster, and I have challenged others, but if somebody can come up with it, it's going to be Chris Gary. If someone can come up with it, it's going to be Chris.
Oh, but there it is right there. I've asked him up. There you go.
All right, put it up.
Oh, sorry. I forgot that. Wait, this is set up.
What list is this? Who's it from?
It's the U.S. list.
Playing roster.
Oh, you can't read that shit.
No. So he was on the October roster.
Now,
that's really interesting.
Okay, so.
But the original announcement from the press had him wiped from it immediately. I don't know. I'm confused now because I have not seen this particular roster photo that they put up.
Okay. But I mean, maybe he had back spasms. Maybe it was true. But then again, he did also play immediately afterwards.
Yes, he did.
So I guess I know it's possible. I'm going to go back and say it's possible he had back spasms and he left the camp. But I guess another question is, and this is going to go along the lines of what happened with Stefan, and this is speculation, guys, and I'm just spitting this out. Is it possible that he initially took the call up? Greg said, "Bro, you're not starting," and Brooks like, "What the fuck?" And then I don't know.
We're never going to really know.
I'm just second guessing the back spasms because he literally played for the club the following weekend.
And his club never
it was a quick
reported
turnaround
any
for back spasms, I guess.
Yeah, his club never really reported anything like that. So
it's still very possible that he did leave for back spasms. I'll leave that as is.
I guess I am reluctant to believe that John Brooks didn't show up because he didn't want to be there. And back spasm seems like a really weak thing to use as an excuse.
What the fuck is that anyways?
Yeah, they're spasms.
I mean, that feels a little weird. But then, you ice it or heat it. I don't know which one you do.
Well, it's qualifying. There's 3 games. You sit out the first one. You sit out the second one. You're there for the third one. I don't understand that. Mm-hmm. I've never heard that used as a routine excuse for somebody not being called up for a team. Anyhow. So, hey, man, Chris, thank you.
We could be wrong. We could be wrong. You never know.
Yep. Where were we? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Anybody using Brooks' form, this is number 6, at Hoffenheim now, as a barometer of how Brooks was playing at Wolfsburg at the time when he wasn't called up at the end of the season, when his form returned, doesn't understand how time works. Because you cannot.
There we go.
He was replaced later, never went to camp, and then played for his club days later. He did. Yes.
Okay.
That's true. He did. Days later.
So I guess at that point, anything is just speculating. But
something weird happened there. That's all I got to say. Something fucking weird happened. And maybe U.S. Soccer just posted up his name knowing, even though he was going to be there, they're at least going to throw his name up there so the stench wouldn't smell so bad. Brooks has flopped at Hoffenheim. He can be revived. He can't be revived. I don't know if I'm really willing to say that yet, Johnny. He just got there, number 1. I agree he's played like fucking shit. So is the rest of Hoffenheim.
I guess I've only seen one game. I'm not going to say anything.
It's not been great.
I've only seen the one blowout to Gladbach, and he had one goal that was clearly his fault that I can recall. He had a very unfortunate block that happened to go off his own defender that went back to the guy for their second goal. But I thought the rest of the game was fine for him. I mean, nothing to write home to by any means. It wasn't a blowout performance, but again, I've only seen one game, so I don't know.
I've seen 2. The first one wasn't. I mean, at least he was competent at passing. I'll give him that.
100% on that.
But it just doesn't look like there's any communication between the back line at all on that team. So that's going to have to be fixed. That's one of the reasons they brought him in. And if he can't help fix that, then he's not going to be starting for Matarazzo going forward.
This one, Wilkes just posted that. He said Matarazzo's at Hoffenheim. Brooks will get his chance.
I think he will, and I believe he'll get it together. I think it's going to take a few more games, though. Hoffenheim looked really bad this year. And then he can be revived from the dead. Pair him with Justin Che, and then he can be revived from the dead. Oh. I guess he could bite his neck and suck out his young blood and maybe regain some of his powers. Okay.
Certainly won't be any speed. He's never really had the speed.
Yeah. Number 4. Yeah, we can skip this.
We can skip 4?
Yeah. Nope, that's not 4.
Oh, sorry, 5?
Yeah, skip 5.
Okay, you're only getting 20, guys.
Dwayne Holmes and Greg had a shout-off. Greg doesn't like Dwayne. Rooney hated Holmes, too. Holmes doesn't give a fuck, though. Honestly, he really doesn't. That's what we've learned about Holmes. He's like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Nobody's talking down to me, motherfucker. Nobody's talking at me either. Because he gave fucking Rooney lip, and he fucking gave Greg lip. But it ain't going to help him get on the team. That's the only thing. And by the way, Huddersfield are shit right now.
It's a shame. The one window that I recall him being there. Was it one window only?
Yeah.
He played I liked how he played.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, again, not a great game by any means, but I liked how he played. And I was like, I really am looking forward to seeing more of this. And we never heard from him ever again.
Right. Exactly. Number 3. Speaking off the record in front of an immoral leadership conference is a bad idea if you really have something to hide.
Is this off the record, Derek?
No.
Oh.
But maybe that Brooks thing should be. Anyhow.
No, it's nice to be proven wrong and to accept that there's a chance that maybe it just went down the way it went. But I still second guess it.
The weird thing? When I ran my searches, I ran them for ESPN, like news articles about the roster. I never thought to go look at U.S. Soccer to see if it was still there.
I mean, go to their wonderful website and try to dig in to try to find folks. It's just,
exactly. All right, next. You're gonna have to blow this one up. I bet it's gonna be really small. That's what she said. Everybody's got something to hide, except for me and my monkey. All right, and the last thing that we learned, that's John Lennon with a monkey, by the way.
Yeah, I was.
He sang a song called "Everybody's Got Something to Hide Except for Me and My Monkey." You don't remember that one? Okay, it's all right.
It's on the top of my playlist.
I'm sure it should be. All right, last one. Miazga admits he and Berhalter did not see eye to eye, but he denies kicking the dog. So that's all out now, and that after almost 2 hours.
I was kind of upset, or not upset, but let down that 29 didn't have any news about Miazga kicking the dog.
I don't see why he would. Like he said, Miazga's been such a peripheral character for the team in the recent past. It's probably not something to even talk about anymore, you know?
Him kicking the dog? Yeah, I understand.
Or their relation, or the fact that he's not on the team. Nobody's like, why isn't Matt here? I think they all know.
I think we were asking that at least during the silly camp just a month ago.
Yeah, but I think they knew who the guys were that Greg valued. So,
Speed round.
What are your thoughts on Jim Beef Curtin saying that
that's got to be a thing now?
The assistant manager job. I don't necessarily want him as a manager, but if he's there as an assistant, I'll be all for it, especially if we hire someone like Jesse or Cherundolo who could use a good assistant. I personally take Curtin over Jesse. Sorry, I would, just because Jim Curtin is not an ideologue, and I like Cherundolo too.
Apparently, there's a chunk of the board, and I believe Diego even pointed this out. But there's a chunk of the board that is actively pushing for USSF to hire Jesse.
No, I'm sure.
So
I'm sure there is.
So most likely, what's going to happen again? It's all going to depend on who they bring in as Ernie's job role, whatever the fuck that's called.
Sporting director.
Yeah, sporting director. There we go. To make it official, but. I don't know. A lot of the sounds coming from USSF sound like that.
Okay, well, then he might get it, but I don't know if it's going to be the best decision they made. But that's okay. It's better than Greg.
I'm hoping he comes in and he watched the entire cycle of Greg pushing my system, and he's like, maybe I shouldn't necessarily do that. Maybe I should take my system and dumb it down and maybe make some changes and move around things depending on who I've got as players.
Yeah, and don't make it as narrow as it was at Leeds.
Yeah.
Please. She's a squirter. We learned that U.S. Soccer website and YouTube channel is being run by a 90-year-old man who's in a basement in Chicago. Yes, and he's the janitor.
More content?
He's the janitor. He's the janitor there, and he's been the janitor there for over 60 years. All right, Frank Bolt. Is this
what we did that one? We did Bolt already.
Okay, good. Folks, I think we might.
Let's hit Deacon up real quick.
I thought we had moved past this crap. The newly proposed European Super League, 60 to 80 teams?
Mm-hmm.
multiple divisions, minimum of 14 games per club, no permanent members.
So,
Okay,
so basically they're taking Europa and Champions League and they're combining it? Is that the idea?
I guess so.
I mean, that's literally what? No permanent members. I mean, just basically it's promotion and relegation.
You know,
I guess the idea is they want to take all the best teams from all the countries.
This is basically them saying, hey, UEFA, we're going to fist fuck you until you're dead. That's what they're doing. Because, like, that's where UEFA makes so much of its money. Champions League. And you take that away from UEFA? Man, they're going to be scrounging. And you know what? Maybe they should be scrounging. I don't know. Maybe they have done so many fucking unethical things over the years that some of them which I'm probably unaware of.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing though. UEFA's got pulled with FIFA, and all FIFA has to do is simply say, "Hey, people who are participating in the Super League, European Super League, won't be able to participate in the World Cup."
Right.
Yeah, that's all they have to fucking say.
Yeah.
The Super League nonsense is ridiculous. You either work alongside of the UEFA's setup already, or don't do anything. And then all these massive clubs that are pushing the Super League, all they have to fucking do is during the summer break, go on a fucking tour. You're going to make shit tons of money by hitting up Asia, hitting up the United States. Just bleed everybody for money that way.
Yeah. I don't see this happening. 60 to 80 teams. Wow.
Multiple divisions, promotion, relegation within Super League.
Okay. All right. Well, at least there is no set, like, once you're there, you don't get to stay there forever, you know? Because remember when Werder Bremen used to be a top 4 team in Germany every year, and they're not anymore. So it happens, people. Nottingham Forest dominated English soccer in the 80s. Well, look at them now.
Back in the Premier League, you're right.
Yep, barely. Barely.
Mid-table by a couple points.
We'll see about that at the end of the season. I mean, they're all right. I like their coach, their manager. All right, folks, after 2 hours and 2 minutes, I think that either I'm going to end the show or I'm going to punch myself in the face and go to sleep. So until the next time on the Straight.
Do that on camera, Derek. I'll end the show after you're down. I
don't have enough energy. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandma. Not because I want to see her naked. And we'll see you the next time on the Straight Red Card. Good night.
She's a trap, she's an unsung novel, turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line, or a phone call with or without wine.
You're gonna do her. Yeah.
Oh no!
Matt, what the hell was that?